Morning, everyone. Just checking you can hear me, first of all. Always helps. Let me know in the comments box if you can hear me. And let us know how you are this morning. Hello, Noah. Hello, Willow. Hi, Neil. Yes, I had a very nice birthday. Thank you, Willow. It was very, very sunny, so I spent lots of it outside in the garden. So, yeah, it was lovely. Thank you. Oh, super. You can hear me. Great. So some people might be back to school, some people might be at home, but a good morning to you all wherever you are. So today I'm going to be talking you through some different books from some inclusive publishers, some inclusive independent publishers, um, and showing you lots of different books. And we're also going to be doing some poetry writing in the second half of the session. So make sure you've got a pencil or a pen and some paper, and we're going to do some writing together. And then you can share your writing in the chat group in the comments. So do make sure you've got a pen and pencil for later on. And then we'll make a start in a minute. Grab Oscar. Oscar seems to follow me around at the moment quite a lot, especially when I put on this headset. Here he is. Say hello. Oscar's absolutely fine. His skin is all cleared up and lovely at the moment. We've been feeding him special food and washing him in special shampoo, so he's much better, but he does need a bit of a cut. But he's not too bad at the moment. But he's just having the most fun at the moment because I'm very lucky that I can take my laptop and work out in the garden. Um, and he is just spending the whole day chasing shadows and butterflies and all sorts. So he's been out for a nice 50-minute walk this morning, and we'll go out again this afternoon, maybe this evening once it's a little bit cooler as well. But he's very good. And I hope you're all okay, whatever you're doing, whatever you're up to. So, the first part of today's session is really to share with you some books. And the second half is to do some poetry writing all together today. So it would be great, as I said earlier, if you grab a pencil and paper or a pen and paper or just anything to write on, really. And we'll get started. So the books that I'm going to share with you this morning, I thought it was quite pertinent to share them with you. There's a lot going on over in America at the moment. I'm sure we've all seen on the news what's going on, and I was trying to think about how I could show support and shout out about our independent publishers who are championing and celebrating people from the BAME community. And it really started off with, there's a report by CLPE, the Centre for Literacy in Primary Education, and they had a survey into a survey of ethnic diversity in UK children's publishing, and they did it in July 2018, and they've done another one actually, and they were looking at analysing submissions of children's books to see which of them featured black and ethnic minority characters. And the findings were quite shocking, really. They found that only 4% of books, that's 4% of books published children's books published in the UK in 2017 featured BAME characters. They also found that 1% of children's books published in the UK in 2017 had a BAME main character. So they were quite shocked, really, and the whole publishing world was quite shocked that children perhaps were not seeing the whole world, everyone's realities being reflected in the books that they read. And I'll see if I can remember everything. A lady called Dr. Ruden Sims Bishop, I think I've got that right, Bishops. Let me just check that. I've got all my notes here, just so I can help you. It's just interesting to know. Yeah, oh, I've spelt that wrong. Apologies. She talks about in children's books either being mirrors. There we go, that's my attempt at a mirror. Windows, or, oh dear, that's bad, doors. Forgive me. And she talks about how children should be able to see themselves in the book that they read, so they are mirrored back to them. They'll be able to see their lives and experiences mirrored back at them. But she also talks about the importance of all children experiencing books that are like windows. So windows where we can peek through into other people's lives and other people's realities. And she also talks about, if the conditions are right and we are able to empathise with the characters in children's books, that they become doors, a sliding door where we can actually walk through and feel like we are experiencing different people's worlds and lives. Okay? So that is really what's informing my book choices today. Everyone got that? It's really important just to know the background as to why I'm sharing these books, I think, with you today. So let's get on to the exciting bit of hearing about some different books and publishers, okay? And you might want to make a list. Teachers, if you're watching, you might want to make a list of some of the books that I share. You might want to nudge mum or dad or nan and granddad and say, please, could you buy that for me? It looks beautiful. If you're watching with someone. Okay, so the first publishers that are really great, that I would really recommend you having a look at their website, are called Book Island. And they specialise in they translate books from around the world. And they have just got some beautiful books at the moment. This is by Ingrid and Dieter Schubert, and it's called The Umbrella. And it's a wordless picture book. A little dog discovers this sort of bright red umbrella, and it swishes him around the world, over continents, oceans, jungles, polar regions. So it's a lovely way for young children to see lots of different landscapes around the world, lots of different animals, creatures, to tell their own stories. It is so beautiful. I love that little one there of the dog fending off the animals and the crocodiles with his red umbrella. So that's called The Umbrella. That's from Book Island. They also do lots of other lovely books. This one I'm very excited about, probably for older children, year 6 and above. And I haven't read it yet. It's called The Bird Within Me. I got it sent the other day, but doesn't it look lovely? It says, Bertra is a 12-year-old girl growing up in a farm in a small village in northern Sweden in the early 20th century. She loves drawing and painting more than anything else and secretly dreams of being an artist. But her mother is sick and Bertra is needed on the farm. She knows that she needs art, that she has to express herself. But how can she make her dreams a reality? And this has got lots of wonderful reviews recently, and the artwork is just stunning in it. So definitely recommend that one. Another one of my favourite from Book Island is Little Wise Wolf, about a very grumpy wolf that knows everything. And he's got no time for any of the other animals that come to him and ask for help. And one day a raven appears with a very special request. And he learns lots of important things, but that's lovely. Um, and this is a really uplifting, lovely book for any children that are coping with loss at the moment, or death in their family. Mum's Jumper. And it says, if mum has gone, how do you carry on? Missing her feels like a dark cloud that follows you around, or like swimming to a shore that never comes any nearer. But memories are like a jumper that you can cuddle and wear, and mum's jumper might be a way to keep her close. So there's some lovely books there from Book Island. And they often throw in lots of lovely postcards and bookmarks as well for you. Okay, moving on then. So some other books to share you. I wonder if anyone's writing down any of these titles and thinking, oh yes, we might have some teachers watching. We'll certainly have some teachers watching later. These are for all ages, really. My class will remember this one. Izzy Gizmo. It was one of my recommended reads. I used to put a sticker on them and have Mr. Eagleton's recommended reads in the bookcase, and it's Izzy Gizmo, and it's so much fun. A girl who loves to invent, but it always goes wrong. Okay? And it's lovely to see a girl being an inventor, first of all, but also mentioning back to characters from the BAME community as well. So that's Izzy Gizmo. Some other books that are great for children. This is really lovely if you've got any younger children. The Great Big Book of Families by Mary Hoffman and Ros Asquith. And what I like about this for younger children, it says, once upon a time, most families in books looked like this. But in real life, families come in all sorts of shapes and sizes. In this book are lots of families living in different ways. Perhaps there's one that looks like yours. It's a lovely way of introducing children to the idea that there are some children have two mummies or two daddies, some are adopted or fostered, and it goes through all sorts of lovely things like holidays. Some family go on exotic holidays, and some stay closer to home. Some visit families in other countries, and others go on day trips. Not all families can afford a holiday, but most people get some time off work from a weekend. Even a weekend at home can be a little holiday. And it just shows everyone from every walk of life. And I think that's really important for younger children. That's a lovely book, that is. Another one of my favourite books, I'll whiz through these as quickly as I can, is by Jeannie Baker, called Mirror. This is wonderful. It's about two cultures, two stories. One is a little boy who lives in Australia, and one is a child who lives in Morocco, North Africa. And it's all about how their lives are completely different, but it's such an interesting experience, being able to compare I'll try and do it, the different books and the different landscapes, and you can actually compare side by side. What do you think of that? Isn't that clever? But really lovely. You might like that one. Another one, I've done this with my year 2 class, they may or may not remember it, is Cinderella, but stories from around the world. This is a really lovely way to introduce children to the idea that stories and people are different, but also that the connections that keep us together. So there's French fairy tales, but there's also tales from North America. It's so beautiful, such a beautiful book. Really great if you're looking at, this is the one that I did with my class, A Chinese Fairy Tale. They might remember that one if any of them are watching. We looked at this book. But it's really great for showing the fairy tales, the differences and similarities between them. Another book that I just absolutely love is Dear Earth by Isabel Otter and Clara Anganuzzi. And it's a little girl, again, a BAME character, a main character. Remember, in 2017, only 1% of characters in children's books were BAME. But it's about Tessa and her grandpa, and she goes on an adventure all round the world, and you can see, oh, look at it. You can see all the beautiful landscapes and all the wonderful things that she gets up to as she visits all these different countries. So that is really lovely. Um, and there's also some interesting information about at the back about what you can do to look after the world. So you might like that one as well. I've talked before about this one, but Kaya's Heart Song is by Lantana, and it's all about meditation and yoga, and it's really lovely, especially if there are any children that are worried at the moment or struggling. It's really lovely. Okay, so that's Lantana. Let me write some of these up then. So we've had a look at Book Island. We've had a look at Lantana. I'm going to show you a book now. I think my mum will like this one, by a publisher, inclusive publisher called Knights of. And this is really popular with lots of children, year 6 and above, High Rise Mystery. It says, if you think finding a body is a fun adventure, you're 33% right. And it follows super sleuths and sisters, Nick and Norva, and they live in this high-rise block and they're trying to solve a mystery of a murder. But again, BAME characters, but more importantly, a thrilling, exciting, mysterious, twisty-turny adventure. And that's by Knights of. Okay, they also did Knights and Bikes, which is a book I've shared before. There are lots and lots of other books that I'll whiz through really quickly. One of my favourite, Stepping Stones, A Refugee Family's Journey. The artwork in this is just amazing because it's not only told in 2 languages, it's told in Arabic and English, but all of the artwork uses stones and pebbles to show this journey. So a lovely way, and it's just so good. And a portion of the proceeds from the sale of this book are donated to refugee resettlement organisations across North America. There's also, if you're a fan of poetry, Werewolf Club Rules by Joseph Coelho, probably my favourite poetry book, Key Stage 2. So fresh and funny, and some really moving poems in there. There's also Koshkas Tale by James Mayhew, which shows us fairy tales from Russia. Again, Francesca Sana, The Journey. This is really, really lovely. And it's endorsed by Amnesty International, and it follows a family fleeing their home due to war. And it's really exciting and beautiful. One of the best books on the refugee crisis. So that's lots of books there. I've got a few more. Are you all with me? Do you need me to sing or something? You should be with you and awake and ready. Some other books. Now, I actually really like this one, and I met Connie Huck and went to her launch party and had a great time with my husband there. It was really good fun. This is about a science-loving girl called Cookie, and this neighbour moves in, and she is not impressed with him at all. But it's written and illustrated by Connie Huck, and she says, when I was growing up, I always felt a bit like I didn't quite fit in. A feeling that perhaps still lingers in the background to this very day. I was the small brown girl in the big white suburb. I like science and maths, but like drama too. And boy, does Cookie like a lot of drama. And it's all about her family, science experiments going wrong, explosions, all sorts of fun. That's not the final front cover. This was a review copy. Some other books that are really great, which feature BAME characters. This is great for 7 to 9 year olds, I would say. Agent Zabra Investigates. She's at the Royal Star Hotel and there has been a theft and a robbery. Um, and she's with her friends and she has to solve it. But that's great. I haven't read this one yet, but I got sent it through, so I thought I'd share it. Anisha Accidental Detective, and it says, "Help! My super dramatic Auntie Bindi is getting married tomorrow and she's having a mega meltdown. But shh! I've just found a ransom note pushed through the letterbox saying Uncle Tony, Bindi's husband to be, has been kidnapped and will only be freed if the wedding is cancelled. I have to keep this a secret or otherwise it will be panic central. I guess it's up to me, Anisha, accidental detective, to save the day." That looks like it's going to be great fun. Okay, so that's it really. The last thing I just wanted to share with you, if there are any teachers watching. Oh no, sorry, I've got. Oh, I'm so sorry. Oh. The second to last thing I was going to share with you, I apologise, is the first thing that comes up: Mariah Carey videos. Oh, um, there's a publisher called Tiny Owl which produce the most beautiful books. I've actually given them to my niece. I got sent a few and I gave them to my niece a while ago because they were so lovely. Um, but they are doing on their website, not only can you buy lots of their beautiful books, but they are also doing stories on Tiny Owl TV, um, stories from around the world being read by different people. It was silent and empty. Hello, friends, he called. But there was no. Yeah. And they've got Thinker, My Puppy Poet and Me. Um, they've got The Phoenix of Persia. There's just so many lovely books from around the world celebrating different cultures, different people, different lives. So that's Tiny Owl. The last one that you might want to read if you are interested in teaching, before we start on our poetry bit, is this book called You, Me and Diversity, by Anne M. Dolan. I ordered this the other day and it's just come through, so I'm going to be reading it. It's all about, it offers teachers and student teachers approaches for teaching children about development education and promoting intercultural understanding through carefully selected picture books. So I'm really looking forward to reading that and developing my own subject knowledge. But teachers, if you're watching this, You, Me and Diversity, it's been recommended to me, so I'm looking forward to that one. Okay, shall we get started then with some poetry writing? Again, this is from a book called The Black Flamingo by Dean Atta, for teenagers. It's really lovely, but there is a poem called I Come From, and it's all about his experiences, his memories coming from the UK, Jamaica, Cyprus, traveling, music, the people that made him. And it's just really lovely. And I thought we could have a go, you could have a go at writing your own version of this poem. Okay? So it's called I Come From. Let's write that up there. And it's by Dean Atta. Okay. It says, maybe you might just want to close your eyes and listen to this one. It says, I come from shepherd's pie and Sunday roast, jerk chicken and stuffed vine leaves. I come from travelling through my taste buds, but loving where I live. I come from a home that some would call broken. I come from DIY that never got done. I come from waiting by the phone for him to call. I come from waving the white flag to loneliness. I come from a rainbow flag and the Union Jack. I come from a British passport and an ever-ready suitcase. I come from jet fuel and fresh coconut water. I come from crossing oceans to find myself. I come from deep issues and shallow solutions. I come from a limited vocabulary but an unrestricted imagination. I come from a decent education and a marvellous mother. I come from being given permission to dream but choosing to wake up instead. I come from wherever I lay my head. I come from unanswered questions and unread books, unnoticed effort and undelivered apologies and thanks. I come from who I trust and who I've left. I come from last year and I don't know how I've changed. I come from looking in the mirror and looking online to find myself. I come from stories, myths, legends and folk tales. I come from lullabies and pop songs, hip hop and poetry. I come from griots, grandmothers and her storytellers. I come from published words and strangers' smiles. I come from my own pen, but I see people torn apart like paper, each a story or poem that never made it into a book. Beautiful, beautiful poem there. Um, you might, there's Dean Atta there. Um, Wonderful poet, and Black Flamingo is brilliant for teenagers. Um, so I thought we could have a go together at writing our own I Come From poem. And so I thought I could write and you could write your own one at the same time, and then maybe put it in the comments box, maybe. So the first verse, it says, I come from shepherd's pie and Sunday roast, jerk chicken and stuffed vine leaves. I come from travelling through my taste buds, but loving where I live. Now, what I would do if I was in class and if I was doing a poetry workshop with children and I was using this, I would probably give them a planning sheet, um, like so, and I might ask them to write down all the food that's important to them, all the family that's important to them, music, um, books, education, travel, holidays, and I might get them to draw pictures to talk about it. And that would probably be a whole lesson there, just encouraging that talk about their experiences, their interests, their life, the things that are important to them. Okay, so you could still do that if you want to, but what I thought we'd do today is just perhaps do a few verses. And it starts off with I come from shepherd's pie and Sunday roast. So that first verse is about what? What is it about? I come from shepherd's pie and Sunday roast, jerk chicken and stuffed vine leaves. I come from travelling through my taste buds, but loving where I live. What's it about? Maybe you can post it in the comments box if you've got an idea. Have a little sip of coffee. See what we've got. What do we come up with? I have to learn to wait on these live videos because I'm a little bit ahead of you. Food, exactly, yeah. So maybe think of 3 lines, all starting with I come from, and think about the food that's important to you and your family, to your memories. You might have particular memories of a Sunday roast altogether. You might have memories of takeaway. You might have memories of um, not liking a particular food. I come from wincing at the taste of broccoli, for example, might be a particular memory. It's all about what makes us up and shapes us. And that's really important when we're introducing children to different lives, different worlds, different realities, that we understand that no one person is the same, okay, and that we're very wary about that single story. And what I mean by that, I just get it up quickly for you. There's a really great TED talk that you can read or watch if you want, adults, called The Danger of a Single Story. And it's Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. And she talks about coming from um, Africa. I believe she's from Nigeria. Yeah. And over to America, and people thinking that everyone from Africa was exactly the same. And she talks about the danger of a single story, and that's what we want to avoid when we're talking and working with children. Um, and she talks about her university friends saying, "Oh, can you play me some tribal music from Africa?" And she says, "I don't listen to tribal music. I listen to Mariah Carey." And she was shocked that everyone had the same view of what African people were like. Okay, so have a think about the food that's important to you, and I'm going to be writing my own, and you can be writing your own for the next few minutes as well, and maybe you can type them in the box. I come from, my mum used to make a really nice killer Chinese meal with ribs and things. So I'm going to put, I come from cozy days of, it was chicken chow mein she used to make, I think. Chicken chow mein, ribs, and what else did she use? Maybe rice, ribs and rice. Maybe you've got your own one that you could put in. What is your first line going to be? Um, you notice that the second line of Dean Atta's poem actually um, is in stark contrast. It starts with "I come from shepherd's pie and roast dinners," and then it goes to "I come from jerk chicken." So two different, very different types of food there. Um, Maybe you could write your first line in the comments box if you're happy to share it with us. So I'm going to put, "I come from cozy days of chicken chow mein, ribs and rice. I come from," I'm going to put this in capitals, "hating roast dinners." I might put something in brackets then. "I come from hating roast dinners, sloppy, tasteless." That's not offending anyone's roast dinner, by the way. It's just my view of it. "I come from hating roast dinners, sloppy, tasteless, and never saying anything." And then I might put something like, "I come from taste buds tingling at the taste of something new," maybe. Yeah? So 3 lines about food. Lovely. "I come from ice cream." Maybe you could expand that a little bit and tell us what kind of ice cream. "I come from raspberry ripple ice cream swirled in a cone." Yeah, really try and paint that picture of that food for us, the texture of it. Okay. "I come from a home that some would call broken. I come from DIY that never got done. I come from waiting by the phone for him to call." Immediately thinks, who's that him? And if you read The Black Flamingo, you find out who the him is. Crossing oceans to find myself. I love that. "I come from stories, myths, legends, folk tales, lullabies, pop songs, hip hop poetry." So maybe we could do one about the music and books. What's Willow put? "I come from Takeaway Indian where my first tooth came out." Oh no! It's usually on something crunchy, isn't it, Willow? "I come from Takeaway Indian where my first tooth came out." So you could do one about food, maybe. It can be anything that interests you. Um, so let's have a go. How are we doing for time? Yep, we're fine. And remember, if anyone wants to share any of their lines, in the comments box, please do. I come from salty chips, sprinkled with vinegar, maybe. Um, Maybe you can do something about the books and music. So he puts, I come from stories, myths, legends, and folk tales. I might put something like, oh, my pen's running out. Oh my goodness, my pen is running out. Lucky I've got a different one. Um, I come from Narnia, Hogwarts. I come from Narnia, Hogwarts. What other books could we have that are important? I come from Narnia, Hogwarts, fairy tales, and Under the Sea. I love The Little Mermaid. I love that story. I come from Narnia, Hogwarts, fairy tales, and Under the Sea. He puts, I come from lullabies and pop songs. So maybe you can think about books that you enjoy reading. Lovely. We've got some more food ones here. I come from rice pudding made with sterilised milk and fighting over who can eat the skin. Lovely. So maybe you could have a think about books or music or films that are important to you. I come from Narnia, Hogwarts, fairy tales, and Under the Sea. I come from, oh, I'm trying to think back to books that we heard when we were young, when Mum read to us. I come from Alfie and Annie Rose. Annie Rose and Garth Pig's ice cream van. Ice cream van. Um, I come there. I might just put what stories are to me. Oh, I come from escaping into a world of books. Yeah. So there are lots of things that we could write about with that come from structure. What's Liz put? I come from walks in the woods, acorns, conkers, bluebells, leaves crunching underfoot. Lovely. It's quite emotional to look back and remember. And for children, it's a really great way for you to think about the things that are important to you as well. And also to see that how everyone has got so many different things that are important to them. I come from a candy castle and a magic underworld. Lovely. So we could do lots of ones with our come from, maybe three in each. We've done food, we've done books. Any other ideas of what we could do? I come from jet fuel and fresh coconut water. I come from crossing oceans to find myself. Maybe you could write about places that you've been to, places that you've travelled to, holidays that are special to you. Um, So we've done food, we've done books, you could do music, films, family members. Let's do one on perhaps travel then. Maybe you've got some lovely places that you remember traveling to on a holiday, or maybe it was a really like rainy, awful holiday, but you managed to have lots of fun because you were with your family. Um, maybe you haven't been on holiday yet, and maybe you've been having fun playing out in the garden or in the park. So maybe have a think now in those comments box or on your piece of paper about holidays, traveling, sightseeing. Okay, I'm going to have a go. I come from rainy days, camping in Norfolk, peacocks, peacocks screaming, singing. Squalling, squawking. Oh, do you know what? Squawking is one of those words that trips me up every time. So, as I've said before, I never worry too much about my spelling at the beginning um, when I'm um, writing because I can always go back and check it. I'm going to still use the words. I come from rainy days, camping in Norfolk, peacocks squawking. What's Liz put? I come from wet, windy Welsh hillsides. Lovely. Any other I come from? I'll carry on while you're thinking. I'm going to start a new line again. I come from sunshine, sunshine kissed holidays, relaxing with my husband. It might be places that you want to go. It might be I come from hoping and dreaming that I can travel to one day. So I come from hoping and dreaming that one day I'll travel to India. Might be something like that. What else have we got? I come from cosy Cornish cottages atop rugged cliffs with angry waves crashing beneath. Lovely. Yeah. So it's such a simple structure if you're writing using that Dean Atta poem I come from, and then just listing in little verses all of those things that are important to you. Okay? Travel, food, books, family, friends, music. Could be anything of that. Sights you enjoy seeing in the morning. Might be I come from fresh black coffee. The scent of fresh black coffee tickling my nose as I wake up. Um, okay, so have a go today or throughout the week of writing your own I come from poem. And perhaps you can email it to me. I would love that. I love it when people email me their poems, or you can post it in the Reading Realm Facebook group or tweet it to me. So my Ian at the Reading Realm.co.uk. The Reading Realm is that on Twitter, and we've also got a Facebook group as well if you wanted to share your work with that. But it would be great to have some of you share your I come from poems. I often do this particular structure in poetry workshops, and before we locked down, a friend Anna and we did a yoga and relaxation day, but with poetry as well. And we did this poem with our participants, and it was really moving. Actually, we were all in tears at the end of one of this woman's her poem about her life. It was really wonderful. But it might just be a nice thing to do, sat out in the garden or sat by the window today, over the next few days, if you'd like a creative writing project. And that's uses the poem I Come From by Dean Atta. And if you search that online, there is a free version of it up. So today I've talked about lots of different publishers, inclusive children's publishers, who are celebrating cultural diversity, who are really promoting and reflecting different children's realities and worlds. So we've looked at Lantana, we've looked at Book Island, we've looked at Nights Of, we've looked at some other books from different publishers, and we've also looked at Tiny Owl. And then we had a look at that poem I Come From, which is a book for teenagers, poetry book for teenagers by Dean Atta, The Black Flamingo. So hopefully that's given you some ideas for how you can support children in ensuring that they see every experience throughout the world, and that it's not just they don't just see themselves in books. It's important that they see themselves in books, but it's also important that they see other people in books that are different to them so they can find out how they're similar and different. Okay? And then we had a look at that lovely poem I come from. Okay, so thank you for joining in. We had lots of lovely poetry comments today. Um, I hope you get to go out and enjoy the sunshine today. Maybe do some creative writing with that poem that we looked at. Maybe have a nice wander and enjoy yourself. Thank you very much for joining us as always. Oh, one of the best shows, Ian. Well done. It was quite an emotional one for me today, actually. I don't know why, but it was. Yeah, I think children's books are so important for spreading that message of hope and acceptance, aren't they? And there's not much. Um, I often feel as though there's not much I can do to help or support others, and I think this is a really good way to support different communities, the BAME community, and what people are going through in America right now. So yeah, thank you very much, everyone. Have a lovely day, as always, and I'll see you soon. Bye.